90.7 KPFK, Los Angeles.
The following radio program has been approved for broadcast by the Federal Communications Commission and is in compliance with all community standards. Thank you.
From Los Angeles.
Whoa! In the static and the wire, he's pulling back the curtain on the power and the lies. The Cary Harrison Files, where the spin gets stripped and the truth runs wild. He's pulling back the curtain on the power and the lies. The Cary Harrison Files.
Listen, were you forced into getting a solar contract and now you just don't want it anymore? Maybe the solar company misled you. Or is your solar contract buried with hidden fees? Are you not saving the amount of money you thought you would on your energy costs? Don't worry. At the Solar Exit Hotline, we can help you cancel your solar contract, even if the panels are already installed. Our experienced legal team will review your contract and help you cancel it, possibly saving you thousands of dollars. You gotta call right now for complete details. So listen, if you're not happy with your solar contract for any reason, we are here to help you cancel it. Call the Solar Exit Hotline now for immediate options to help you exit your solar contract. This call is 100% free.
Call 877-406-5860. That's 877-406-5860. Call 877-406-5860. That's 877-406-5860. Call us right now.
I want you to silence your phones, turn off the ringers, because a prophet has emerged from the gilded fever swamp of Silicon Valley to deliver us a revelation so breathtaking in its self-serving audacity that it practically deserves its own burning bush and its own tablets of stone. Who is that prophet, you ask? Well, it is none other than Alex Karp, Karp with a K, as opposed to Karp with a C, smelling like fish. Although you probably do think he smells like fish. He is the CEO of Palantir, the AI surveillance company named after the all-seeing crystal ball from Tolkien, which tracks your digital footprints harder than a stalker X with a trust fund and a government contract. Palantir, the largest government software in all of human history, doesn't just know where you've been, it knows where you're going, who you called at 2 a.m., and whether that sketchy download from 2019 makes you a person of interest, which the company then literally invoices the Pentagon for. With a smile so polished it could sell you mouthwash at a funeral. Mr. Karp himself is a man of such theatrical, full-body restlessness that a video of him physically incapable of remaining seated during an onstage interview went so viral, it spread like a golden retriever's cloaca after eating an entire espresso cake. He vibrates at a frequency that rattles the fillings in the teeth of anyone seated in the third row. And now, percolating magnificently atop his mountain of AI surveillance revenue, Mr. Karp has announced that artificial intelligence, I know we talk about this a lot, but you know what? It's talking about you. So you may as well be on the same page. Mr. Karp has announced that artificial intelligence is about to annihilate the job market like a flamethrower at a piñata factory. Now, you've been hearing this. It's on CNBC. It's on Bloomberg. It's all like, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? These are the guys building it, creating it, and deploying it at a government level like Skynet. Obviously, that's his goal, to replace all the jobs and with AI. That's his goal. That's what he's selling. So he's saying, now, we don't know this is going to happen because we just saw a district get flipped to blue. We see that people are actually reasonable if given a reasonable choice. But he's saying that most of you are cooked. Economically, you're a Blockbuster video in a Netflix world, a travel agent in the age of Google Flights, a blacksmith on the day Henry Ford showed up to work with a smirk and a swastika. But, and here's where Mr. Karp dangles a tiny, glittering lifeline over the yawning void. Like a man who's just announced the ship is sinking and has only one life vest, if you happen to be neurodivergent. Congratulations, you magnificent, glitchy, beautifully irregular specimen. You've got a seat on the ark. Everyone else, try not to swallow too much water. The future belongs, he says, to the differently brained. Now, here's where we pause for a public service announcement, because neurodivergence is a real thing that real people live with every single day, and it deserves more than a billionaire using it as a cape at a shareholder meeting. Neurodivergent is an umbrella term, a big, slightly chaotic umbrella that inverts in the wind, but still technically keeps you dry, covering a broad spectrum of neurological conditions in which a person's brain processes, learns, behaves differently from what society has decided is standard. So you'll know about this, and you will have experienced it. Many of us did. Because in our culture, our schools, our workplace, there's a standard. It's a factory default. And the word for people running the standard issue operating system is neurotypical versus neurodivergent. So neurotypical is everything is built for people that all have the same kind of brain, the typical brain. Basically, Windows 10. Perfectly functional. Nobody's particularly excited about it. Crashes occasionally in traffic. Keeps asking you to restart. Neurodivergent brains are running something else. Something with different specs. Something faster in certain applications and baffling in others. Sometimes the most beautiful, intricate, uncommon instrument in the orchestra. And sometimes it needs a full reboot in the middle of a grocery store because the fluorescent lights are doing something the brain has registered as a code red emergency. We're talking about autism spectrum disorder, a genuinely, legitimately wide spectrum, ranging from people who are entirely nonverbal and need substantial daily support to people who are running hedge funds and delivering TED Talks, united primarily by differences in social communication, sensory processing, and a capacity for pattern recognition so ferociously acute, it could identify a 4-pixel anomaly in a spreadsheet from across a parking garage. In the rain, we're talking ADHD, which sounds like a tidy clinical label, but actually means your brain is 17 browser tabs, all playing different videos simultaneously at full volume, and you've lost the charger, and you also forgot what you came in here for. And my hand is going up here. We're talking dyslexia. Oop, my hand went up again. And I was relieved to learn it's not a stupidity disorder, as they told me in school. It's not even a reading disorder, as they told me in school. They didn't have the word dyslexia. It's not a reading disorder in the way most people picture it, but it's a language processing difference that has precisely zero correlation with intelligence and a surprisingly high one with three-dimensional spatial reasoning, with lateral thinking and the kind of entrepreneurial creative leaping that connects ideas that polite, well-organized, neurotypical brains would never think to put in the same room. Yeah, so it's kind of missing the filter with some people. There's also dyscalculia, dyspraxia, Tourette's syndrome, sensory processing disorder, a whole constellation of human variation that together comprises somewhere between 15 and 20% of the population. That's 1 in 5 people. The neurodivergent aren't a rare exotic orchid in the greenhouse of humanity. They're practically a fifth of the whole damn garden. And here's the critical thing that Palantir's Karp and his merry band of self-mythologizing tech prophets prefer to skate past like it's a patch of thin ice over a lake of inconvenient facts. These people have historically been punished for their differences, chewed up and spat out by school systems, designed with all the neurological sensitivity of a 1952 factory floor. They've been failed by employers who couldn't distinguish between difficulty with eye contact and unfit for work. They've been denied accommodations. They've been denied diagnoses. They've been denied the elementary dignity of being assessed on capability rather than compliance. And the unemployment rate among autistic adults hovers around 80%. 80%. Not because they lack ability, but because the systems designed to employ them were built by and for neurotypical brains. And nobody bothered to ask whether the architecture of the American workplace was perhaps optimized for the wrong 20%. Uh-oh. Some of the most formidable pattern-recognizing, hyper-focus powered minds on Earth are sitting in apartments right now, unable to even get past a phone screening at the same companies whose CEO has just declared them the chosen people of the post-AI era. So the billionaires who are the survivors have these companies that build the AI won't hire these people because they can't get past a phone interview. The irony there, well, it doesn't just sting, it scorches. Cary Harrison with you, by the way. This is the Cary Harrison Files, CaryHarrison.com, GoHarrison.com, alternatively. Live video streaming on YouTube, Substack, everything with a chip and a signal. Shortcut at kpfk.net. You can later listen as a podcast across every service. Simply Google the Cary Harrison Files, Cary. Our newsletter with a transcript of this entire show. Stuff we can't say on the radio anymore is at CaryHarrison.com or GoHarrison.com. And our new Harrison text line is at 310-737-TALK, 310-737-TALK. And you can both text and leave messages. But let's go back to our hero, Alex Karp, who is the CEO of Palantir, the largest AI system on Earth. Listen, ChatGPT is consumer grade. That's for little kids. This is the grown-up one that's surveilling you, your appetites, everything you've ever bought, everything you've ever posted, what you think, your opinion, your social media, all of it. It's what ICE uses. It's what they all use to figure out who you are. Are you a person of interest? He's the CEO. He has dyslexia, a fact he mentions with the evangelical regularity and hushed reverence that lesser men reserve for describing their morning cold plunge or the one time they read Marcus Aurelius and felt personally transformed. He launched a neurodivergent fellowship at Palantir because in his own words, he believes, quote, the neurally divergent will shape America's future, which is standing alone, a perfectly reasonable sentence. As an X-Men movie, it's even better and arrives in the same gift paper as Elon Musk, that twitching, posting, government department dissolving chaos goblin who currently appears to be operating the federal government like a feral cat who's discovered a room full of priceless vases to knock over. Mr. Musk comes with the full bounty of the Third Reich and credits autism as the prime engine of his genius. And then there's Peter Thiel, vampire adjacent, PayPal co-founder, occasional nationalist cosplayer, a man who looks like he was assembled in a lab by someone who had only ever read descriptions of humans. And he declares Asperger's syndrome a straight-up competitive advantage for innovation. It could be if you weren't evil. Notice what these three share besides the money and the slightly unnerving effect. They've each taken a neurological difference, polished it to a blinding shine, mounted it on the wall like a trophy elk, and used it to explain why they won and why you didn't win, and why the universe has arranged itself quite sensibly with them at the top. This isn't advocacy, it's retrofitted origin story, isn't it? This is the billionaire as superhero narrative in which the quirk that made childhood difficult becomes the radioactive spider bite that justifies the empire. It's the X-Men origin scene, except instead of saving humanity, the mutants are running surveillance software and dismantling the regulatory state while filing for lucrative contracts all at the same time. Wowee. Each time these gentlemen invoke their neurodivergence, they lean hard into the notion that they're more rational because they don't, ready for this one? My favorite, they don't succumb to the weakness of empathy. The weakness of empathy. Mr. Musk has said this out loud on a podcast to millions of people with the chipper ease of a man who's never once been informed that this is not something you should brag about. Mr. Thiel has implied it with the cheerful directness of someone who appears to experience warmth the way a submarine experiences sunlight. The subtext? And it's barely sub anymore. Actually, it's quite dumb if you think about it. The subtext is that the neurotypical masses, that would be the billions of people on Earth with their messy feelings and tedious social bonds and irritating inability to optimize every human interaction for extractable, monetizable value, that those human beings are a design flaw in this species. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? And then a couple of weeks earlier, and then a couple of weeks earlier. Ad nauseum, ad infinitum. We do it over and over again. Why? Because this is the plot of the play, and you need to know where this thing is aimed. Empathy, they think, is a bug. Hyper-focused systems thinking is a feature. In other words, the way their unique brains work is a feature. The rest of us have a bug. And who, by astounding coincidence, possesses this feature? The three richest and most powerful weirdos in the room have this one feature. What are the odds? And now we arrive at the part of this story that would make a lesser satirist put down his lube and simply stare at the ceiling, whimpering softly. Because while Alex Karp and Elon Musk are busy crowning neurodivergence as the anointed inheritors of their post-AI civilization, there is a man, a cabinet member, sitting in the same government, down the same executive branch corridor, guzzling raw milk and vibrating with righteous, unvaccinated fury. A man who is trying to eradicate this master race entirely. And that man is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services, scion of America's most tragedy-haunted political dynasty, a man who keeps a dead bear in his personal origin story.
Oh my God.
A man who understands the entire field of immunology the way most of us understand a confusing IKEA instruction manual, with suspicion, bravado, and a conviction that the diagram must be lying. I know, I always say, like, you got to be kidding, but somehow he's not right. They're not right, but they're on the opposite side with the same goalpost. Bobby Jr. has declared autism a catastrophe, not a variation, not a difference, not a feature of human neurological diversity that deserves accommodation and support and the basic dignity of being treated as a citizen of the Republic. A catastrophe, an epidemic, a plague upon the American family, comparable in his fevered telling to the bubonic pestilence, only somehow worse because, and he said this at his first press conference as secretary of the most powerful public health department on the planet, autistic children will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Let that land for a moment. The United States Secretary of Health and Human Services stood at a government podium behind the seal of the United States and delivered what was essentially a eulogy for living people. He didn't say autistic people need better services. He didn't say families need more support. He said these kids will never write a poem. As though poetry is the benchmark of personhood, as though the inability to produce a fizzy sonnet on demand is what separates a citizen from a liability, as though Keats is the entrance exam for having your existence acknowledged as worth something to our republic. The man talked about autism the way a medieval physician talks about plague, as a visitation, a corruption, an affliction to be rooted out before it spread further, ideally before September, because Kennedy promised that by September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic and we will be able to eliminate those exposures. And then HHS moved to create a national autism registry, combining data from insurance claims, electronic medical records, pharmacies, laboratory and genetic tests. Remember the genetic tests you took, your little DNA? Who's my great-great-grandmother? Those genetic tests that you were promised would be private, top secret, never released to the government or anyone else. Those genetic tests. And of course, consumer wearables like your Fitbit or maybe your phone in your pocket. Every time you download an app, it tracks you and says exactly where you were, what you did, and the microphone is always on, so what you said. In other words, a list of autistic Americans compiled from their private medical records, their fitness trackers, their insurance claims, a list. If you know your history, and you should know your history by now, because it's deeply, urgently relevant here, you know that lists of this particular variety have not historically been assembled for the purpose of delivering better services to the people on them. Mr. Kennedy's proposed registry, his anti-autism crusade, and his insistence that autism is catastrophic echoes the eugenics movements of the past, including the one that World War II Nazi physician Hans Asperger himself, for whom Asperger's syndrome was named, the same one facilitated during the Third Reich. Hans Asperger, the name that Elon Musk's fans use as a compliment, the name that Peter Thiel invoked as an advantage, the man whose clinical work was conducted under the administrative umbrella of people who were building exactly this kind of list 80 years ago for exactly the purposes you'd expect, with exactly the outcomes that followed. This is not a subtle historical parallel. It's a historical parallel wearing a neon sign and stripper tassels. We're going to take a pause here. When we come back, we'll grab a couple of calls at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. Don't forget our new Harrison text line at 310-737-TALK, 310-737-TALK. Cary Harrison with you, and this is the Cary Harrison Files.
This pussy grabs back. The Cary Harrison Files. CaryHarrison.com.
Listen, were you forced into getting a solar contract and now you just don't want it anymore? Maybe the solar company misled you. Or is your solar contract buried with hidden fees? Are you not saving the amount of money you thought you would on your energy costs? Don't worry. At the Solar Exit Hotline, we can help you cancel your solar contract, even if the panels are already installed. Our experienced legal team will review your contract and help you cancel it, possibly saving you thousands of dollars. You got to call right now for complete details. So listen, if you're not happy with your solar contract for any reason, we are here to help you cancel it. Call the Solar Exit Hotline now for immediate options to help you exit your solar contract. This call is 100% free.
Call 877-406-5860. That's 877-406-5860. Call 877-406-5860. That's 877-406-5860. Call us right now.
The Cary Harrison Files.
And it is the Cary Harrison Files, CaryHarrison.com. Streaming live video right now at kpfk.net. You can also see it if you simply Google YouTube or Substack. Don't forget to get our newsletter at caryharrison.com. A couple of messages have come in on the text line. They're also coming up on the YouTube channel, but it's kind of tiny for me to be able to read. What isn't so tiny is my iPhone, where I can read. This one just came in. IKEA instructions are a communist plot, like fluoridation used to be. Scandinavians, bomb them back to the Stone Age. Sarcastic, obviously. Fun fact, Donald Trump did business with members of the Bin Laden family. And the sources are listed here. Elon, go to Mars and stay there. Lines are open at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK. Talking a little bit about this neurodivergence, I realize it's a complicated, ironic paradox that the people that control the banknoting, the portions of government like the Department of Education that has been chainsawed metaphorically, but we did see Mr. Musk stand on a stage with a chainsaw and rock music, hacking apart the government, claiming that it was waste, fraud, and abuse to educate people. These people are bragging about their specific neurodivergence, and that only 3 of them alive on the planet, the ones creating massive AI. So Mr. Musk has Grok, that runs Twitter, we know is a giant fan of Adolf Hitler, Grok. Palantir, which is the ultimate big brother. This is the one that George Orwell wrote about. It didn't exist yet. And of course, Palantir is named after Tolkien's All-Seeing Stone. And then you have Peter Thiel, who actually created Palantir. And these guys all have a very acute form of neurodivergence, but they also have a twist in the brain. And with this, no empathy. So without empathy, if you just steal all the food off the table from little children, you don't feel bad about it because you never think about the starving children are now more starving and maybe they'll die because you don't have empathy. Empathy is a weakness, according to them. And so we've got a problem here. But it is fixable, just like our state senator from Florida fixed a problem in a giant part of the state that we thought was impossible. Let's go to Sam in downtown LA. Sam, you're on the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome.
Hey, Cary. Love your work. I'm the guy that's been texting you about the anime.
Okay. Good to hear your voice.
Well, I really like your take on the spectrum that we're finally labeling and discovering in the world that has existed ostensibly from, the beginning of ever, the cosmos. And it just feels like everybody's got a little something going on. It's something that they're good at or something that they specialize in or focus on. And that should be celebrated and not cynically twisted like you're talking about. Really like your analysis of how these douchebags at the top of society like to twist kind of modern science to benefit their angle as they try to exploit, the masses to keep all the money trickling up to them. But just kind of wanted to pick your brain on how you feel like we could kind of move the narrative back to like a science-based kind of egalitarian angle moving forward.
Boy, that's the big question, isn't it, Sam? The big question. So a year ago, we didn't seem to have this problem. We had these guys out there. They were boasting about it, but it was just boasting. Then we have a government that will do whatever it can to enforce whatever these guys say. Simultaneously, we have Bobby Kennedy, who is completely not in the same room as anybody else at the same time, who sees this as a plague and wants to kill the master race, while the billionaires want to create the master race, all in the same government. And what we have found, that is anathema to common sense is you can have two completely opposite things happening simultaneously and both of them work. And that doesn't work in science. It doesn't work in math necessarily. It doesn't really work in philosophy, but it seems to work in a clown car. So I guess we have to start thinking like clown cars. Thank you so much, my friend, very much. We've got like 1 minute to squeeze in a final call from Steve. Steve, you're on the Cary Harrison Files. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Cary, for everything you do. I just wanted to add something about Elon going to Mars. I had a thingy on my hat for a while where it says, Elon, go to Mars, use your own money.
Right. Boy, you nailed it, isn't it? That every time the chainsaw cuts out a government agency, and we could actually, the New York Times and the Washington Post were doing a tally on all the different government agencies, especially in NASA, that people fired, laid off, destroyed, removed, all replaced by for-profit people and organizations and new LLCs created by Elon Musk to pick up where those federal employees left off. In other words, for-profit, make a profit, do the same thing, and have the public fund it. Wow. Another topic for another time. Thank you for bringing that up. Cary Harrison with you. This is the Cary Harrison Files. I want to acknowledge Renee Yawarsky, an attorney. She's one of the good ones. So when attorneys were mentioned in the first half of the show, it was not by me. We love Renee. Wonderful brain, brilliant, and my backbone here. So I'm super lucky. Thank you, Will, at KPFK in the control room for, as always, doing such an excellent job. And thank you and I together, but you more importantly, the listener. I value you. I'm on bended knee in supplication and will remain so. Don't forget to get the newsletter at CaryHarrison.com, C-A-R-Y. There you're going to get a bunch of other stuff throughout the week we can't do on the radio. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? Well, you call low-cost airlines because they specialize in cheap flights, in discount hotel rooms, in cheap car rentals, and with the best price guarantee. Often 75% off. 901-235-1795. 901-235-1795. 901-235-1795. 901-235-1795.
How'd it happen?
She showed up dead on arrival.
This never gets easier.
It does when you call CarShield before your car breaks down. Look at these prices. The camshaft, transmission, engine.
Don't people know? A plan through CarShield could protect up to 5,000 parts and systems.
You hate to see it.
An out-of-warranty car is going to break down eventually.
Right, which is why they need a plan through CarShield.
Best of all, you'll get access to CarShield's concierge service, who can even help you find a mechanic near you.
They're notifying the family.
Poor guy. He doesn't even know what's coming.
Another victim of senselessly expensive repair bills. Can't save them all.
But we can keep trying. Didn't have to end this way. If he'd have just called CarShield before his car broke down.
Exactly.
CarShield has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau and was voted America's most trusted auto protection company. It's time to call CarShield now. Call 800-786-8390. 800-786-8390. Call 800-786-8390.